Welcome back to Real Shift, where we like to talk real shit all day, every day, all for the love of movies and sometimes TV. I'm your host, Joe, and today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I don't think I've ever done this for any show or movie that I've watched for that matter. But basically, I have been pretty into Westworld, I guess you can say, from the beginning. I've been doing a lot of reviews on it. I reviewed each and every episode this past season, and I'm a be quite honest, I'm pretty sad that it's over because I was enjoying it, and I know that's kind of a controversial opinion because it seems like a lot of people didn't enjoy it, and it's kind of a mixed bag online, I think, with whether people enjoyed it or not. But I enjoyed it, and these are basically 5 questions that I want answered heading into Westworld Season 4, which is happening. HBO has renewed it, which is a good thing. But yeah, here's my 5 questions I want answered in Westworld Season 4. So, what is Charlotte Hale's plan? That is my number 1 question. Or number 5 question, I should say. She's clearly continuing to make hosts, and probably going to make a lot of them. Possibly starting a war of her own, not quite sure yet. But Dolores is out of the picture, Sirach's out of the picture, presumably William's out of the picture. She has control of Delos. She seems to simply want to wipe out the human race, which is what we thought Dolores wanted the whole time. But I find it hard to believe that that's all she wants. There has to be more to it than that. What is her plan moving forward? And why would she want to just simply wipe out the human race? I mean, she had a human family this season that she cared for very deeply, and they were taken away from her. So it seems like a big jump to go from that to, oh, I just hate all humans and I want them all dead. So I think there's a little bit more to it than that, even though everything she says in the final episode basically hints that that's what she wants. But I just find it hard to believe that that's all it is. Possibly she may even be thinking just replace all humans with host versions like she does with William at the end of the episode. That's something else that could be a possibility. But what her ultimate goal is, not quite sure, and that's definitely a question I'd like to have answered. My number 4 question that I'd like to have answered: what's next for Caleb? So Caleb was introduced this season. He was kind of introduced as a character who was unsure of himself, not quite sure of his purpose in the world, which is something most people can relate to, I'm sure. But by the end of it, he's basically appointed by Dolores as the leader of the revolution to free humanity, essentially. So, but the problem is that by the end of this season, the final shot of Caleb and Maeve standing next to each other is a city in ruins, and everyone is tearing it apart and tearing each other apart. So he's supposed to lead this revolution, but will there be anyone left for him to save? Like, are there enough people who want to be saved, for that matter? When they released the information to people about how things were being predetermined for them, it kind of opened Pandora's box, and I don't know necessarily that you can just put a lid back on that and just make people, I guess, want to follow another person. I think a lot of people just have it ingrained in their heads now that I don't want to follow anybody. I don't want anybody telling me what to do. I want to do what I want to do. You know, it's my world now. And I think that's going to be an issue for Caleb moving forward if, in fact, he's going to, I guess, try to almost rebuild society in the image that Dolores was talking about. But I'm not sure that order can be restored, granted, given the status of how society is at the end of season 3. So it'd be interesting to see where they go with Caleb, for sure. Number 3 is, what did Bernard see in the Sublime? There's a brief moment of him looking off in wonderment when he first puts the device on his head. And he looks off in wonderment and awe, and he looks happy or almost in amazement of what he's seeing. And then suddenly he just basically shuts down. And then we get the after credit scene of where he comes back online, and he has a bit of a different demeanor. So what did he see? What happened when he was in there? Is the Sublime in trouble? Is that possibly what's going on here? Like, are the hosts or the consciousness of the hosts who are in the Sublime, which I'm assuming they're still in there. Not quite sure, but I'm assuming they still are. But is everyone in there in danger? Does Bernard have to get them out in order to save them? Like, these are just things that I was thinking that possibly could be wrong, or why he may have reawakened what looked to be kind of in a panic, maybe. So it'd be interesting to see, again, one, what he saw, and two, what he's going to do about it, I guess. So that's my number 3 question as far as what I want answered in season 4. My number 2 question is William really dead? So, and if so, if he is dead, what purpose does host William serve? And this kind of, again, falls in line with Charlotte's plan, I guess, because when we find out what her plan is, I guess we'll understand more about why she decided to make a host William and have him essentially replace the real William. So having your throat slashed would kind of seem like a certain death, I guess you could say. But stranger things have happened. This story, to me, William's story feels a little bit unresolved. I get the poetic justice of him basically dying at the hands of a host version of him, because that's what he did for so many years at the park, killing hosts. So it is kind of poetic justice, and I get what they were going for there. But with everything we learned about William this season and through the course of the whole show, his story just feels a little bit unresolved, and I'd hate for a character that I love, because he's actually one of my favorite characters in the show, I'd hate for him to kind of just go out that way and just have his throat slit and then we never see him again. And of course we'll get a version of him with the host, but it won't be the real William. In my personal opinion, he should have a moment where he's able to combat the evil side of him in the host form, and maybe we see what the actual real William, who the real William is, and who the real William is that comes out on top, and who gets to take control of that life. So I think that would be a little bit more of an interesting story, just having him basically trying to retake control of his life and put the bad side of him that is in now in host form behind him and put it to bed for good. So I think that is just something that sounds a little bit more interesting than he's just gone now and the host is going to basically take his place. So I do want a little bit more for his character, so I'm kind of hoping that he's not all the way dead, although it could be. And the final question, this is one's going to be pretty obvious because she is the main character of the story, but is Dolores Prime really gone? She's pretty much erased by the end of the 3rd season, but there are copies of her still out there, so that's something to consider. And she can be rebuilt, she can be rewritten, she can be reprogrammed, reborn, and you still have a character like Bernard who now knows that Dolores was actually trying to do some good and maybe might even need her for whatever his issue is now with the Sublime. So it's very possible that Bernard could get on possibly trying to rebuild Dolores, because he would be the best obvious candidate to do that. But her story does seem to come to a bit of a fitting end by season 3, and I think they wrapped it up nicely with the whole memory segment with Maeve and her explaining to her about how she sees the good in people and how people are capable of that as well, and we just need to help them find that in themselves again. So all of that was it's a nice way to wrap up her story, and if they didn't bring her back, it would be a fitting end to her character, let me just say that. But I just feel like with what we know about Westworld and how no one's ever truly gone, and how Dolores is kind of the focal point of the show for the first 3 seasons, kind of hard to believe that she'd be gone for good. I just feel like she'll be back in some capacity. What capacity that will be, I have no idea. Will it just be the copies of her? I don't know, but I just feel like Dolores Prime will make a return at some point in season 4. The question is how. So those are my 5 biggest questions I want answered in Westworld Season 4. Let me know what your questions are. Let me know if you have anything that sprung to mind when I was telling you my questions, or if you have your own questions. I'd like to know about all that. We'll keep the discussion going down in the comments below if you so choose. And as always, please like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, and I'll see you next time right here on Real Shift, and hopefully for Westworld Season 4 when it starts. Talk to you later. Thanks for watching.